not in Kansas anymore.
You have my curiosity.
Are you telling me you built a time machine?
The Force will be with you. Assemble.
Hello and welcome back to the Get Real podcast, the podcast where we get real about all our favourite pop culture, films and TV shows. I'm Chris, and with me as always is my socially distant co-host, Sam.
We are definitely social distancing more than what we ever have right now.
We normally record this in the same room, Sam, but right now I can only see you on a tiny phone screen.
I know, and Chris, we're actually live right now, which is the crazy thing.
Live?
We're doing this via Instagram Live right now because we thought, why the hell not? We may as well give it a go.
Share it with you guys live, and we can record it.
Mm-hmm.
So why not?
Why not, eh? So, yeah, we were a bit stuck this week for a topic to talk about because nothing's really getting released at all.
Nothing's happening in the world. Absolutely nothing is happening in the world.
Well,
it's definitely not the craziest time in our lifetime.
Yeah, some would say everything's happening in the world right now, really. But here we are. So we actually put out a little bit of a feeler for what we were going to talk about. I put it on my Instagram and put it on the Get Real Instagram. We had a couple of people leave suggestions, but I mean, Emily suggested on Instagram Harry Potter, but I've only watched Harry Potter's in bits. And
have you not had chance in the last 5 hours to watch all 7 Harry Potter films? How dare you?
I've watched. I could tell you what happens in the Chamber of Secrets, and I could tell you half of what happens in the last one, and that's it. So,
Sam, who is the rat man in The Prisoner of Azkaban?
Something is surname is a noun. that's as much as what I remember.
Okay.
Sirius Black, is that it?
No, that's the dog man.
Okay.
That's the dogman.
Okay. I was close.
So we're going to do some news first, and then we're going to get onto our topic for this week, which will be binge-worthy shows. Obviously, we're all locked down in quarantine. So we are going to talk about what you can spend your time doing if you're not working from home.
Yep. We've taken a few selections. We've tried to make them less obvious than just like Stranger Things and Peaky Blinders and stuff like that, because let's face it, I think everyone in the world has probably watched them to some point.
Everyone's just watching Friends anyway, so we don't need to mention Friends again.
Yeah, exactly. I think people have binged Friends far too much already. Yeah.
So thank you to Chris Smith, which I've just realised now is probably our German listener. It's just clocked with me, Chris Smith from Germany.
It's
thank you.
Just to fully credit Instagram, it's at Chris ___ Smith. On Instagram.
No, it's only 2 underscores, isn't it?
Oh, is it? Oh, right. It looked right when
3.
When I put 3
He's in our story anyway. You can check him out there.
Yeah,
so he won't be by the time you're listening to this podcast, actually. No. Never mind.
Yeah, this will go out on Monday.
Thanks anyway, Chris.
Scheduling. Hey, right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go through news. So obviously everything ever has been delayed and cancelled in terms of releases.
Aye.
We had a couple more in terms of Wonder Woman's fully pushed back to August. And
we've also, speaking of Wonder Woman, had some new photos released from the film as well.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, so we've got a shot of Kristen Wiig's Cheetah with Barbara Minerva, also known as Cheetah, with Maxwell Lord, Pedro Pascal. We've seen them together, so it seems like those two will be teaming up at some point in this film.
Cool.
They look a little bit romantically involved, maybe, so subplots. And then we just get a couple shots of Wonder Woman kicking ass.
Speaking of Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, have you seen that Imagine video? No,
I've seen the parody ones.
The parody, yeah, it's a thing. It's definitely a thing.
Definitely
a thing. You know what? It's a good idea and it's a good intention, but it's just so awkward. It's the most awkward thing I've ever seen.
I saw a BuzzFeed article about, oh no, look at all these celebrities. Your heart bleeds from trapped in the fucking £1 million mansions with, like, there's one of Arnold Schwarzenegger in a hot tub with a cigar and stuff. Oh yeah, what a shame.
Yeah.
Drake was documenting his quarantine and he's got his own private basketball court in his house.
What really kind of threw it off was, like, you've got these celebrities, like, kind of obviously really trying, and then Sia just comes in and, like, kills it. It's, like, just over the top.
Yeah, you don't get one singer into a bunch of non-singers.
No, exactly.
Like going out to karaoke with all like your music university friends.
What else got pushed back and delayed? I know there was
Okay,
a
so
couple
Wonder
of other
Woman's been
bits.
pushed back till August. And then the Batman and something else. Let me check.
So
Something else
the
has
Batman,
stopped production.
The Batman has stopped production because obviously it stopped production because of everything
It's
that's going
on hold indefinitely at the moment.
And that has obviously in turn pushed back its release date and stuff, I take it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, they were talking about the Batman and something else release date are probably going to be pushed back because production has had to stop. And I can't remember what the other one is, and I thought I got up the article, but clearly I haven't.
It's okay.
Clearly I've screwed the pooch on that one.
It's alright, well, moving on. Disney Plus has launched in the UK now, which is cool. Have you signed up to it yet?
I've not. I was waiting till the weekend to then get a free trial and just absolutely binge the heck out of it. Maybe we'll have a few from that list on our lists later.
Yeah, there is. I've to be honest with you, I'm surprised how much stuff is actually on Disney Plus because I thought it was just going to be the Star Wars films, the Marvel films, and the Disney films, obviously. But there's quite a lot like that Jeff Goldblum series. Yeah. There's a lot of the Imaginatorium stuff on there as well, like the making of rides and things and bits and bobs. So there's quite a bit on there, which is perfect for binging in the lockdown, I suppose.
I'm still trying to find out what other film is getting pushed back, but it's just not here at the moment. It seems to have disappeared. The article is just actually gone.
Okay, well, I'm going to move on to the next story then.
Go on then.
Mandalorian, Star Wars The Mandalorian, had a couple of castings, so we'll blitz over these. So Rosario Dawson was cast as Ahsoka Tano from...
I think that is the best casting we could have got for her.
Well, it was the casting that everyone wanted anyway, right?
Yeah.
So she played...
So keep everyone happy.
She played the nurse in Daredevil as well, didn't she?
Did.
Cool. And then Michael... Is it Biehn?
I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
He's from Aliens and The Terminator, isn't he?
Yeah, he plays Kyle Reese in Terminator.
Sick. So that's
pretty cool casting.
Yeah, he's just playing a bounty hunter, isn't he? So that'll be cool. And then our last little news story is...
I've got a lot more news other than this.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll finish this one, and then we'll
you
carry
do
on.
this one.
Chinese movie theatres, because obviously their whole situation with coronavirus it's been going on since about New Year's Day, January time. So they have started to kind of sort everything out, and it's all kind of slowed down a bit over there now. So news is that the Chinese movie theatres have slowly started to reopen now. They're supporting the reopening because obviously there's not a lot of stuff being released at the minute with all the pushbacks and delays, because weirdly enough today Mulan should have come out, I think. Tomorrow Mulan should have come out. So they're supporting the release of that with Marvel films, so the Avengers films, the Star Wars films, and Harry Potter, which is cool, especially for a Chinese audience, because the Star Wars films never really do massively well over there, do they? They don't do as well as what they do over in the West.
I think there's just something about this plot doesn't really connect with Chinese audiences that much.
Which is fair, I suppose. You tend to find stuff like... what does well over there?
Transformers definitely does well.
Transformers does well over there.
Lots of robot stuff that's more traditional retellings of folk tales or like the hero's journey. I know Star Wars is literally the hero's journey, but sort of more direct retellings of Chinese folk stories and stuff. Like Journey to the West always does amazing in Japan and stuff like that. So carrying on from that one, Christopher Nolan has actually pleaded the case of cinema and film in general to the Senate in the US to try and support the Senate giving money to cinema chains so that they don't close down during the coronavirus outbreak. So obviously this was what we discussed last week. It's a major thing at the moment. Lots of cinemas are having to close down. Smaller ones, especially in the US, we don't have as many in the UK, might close forever due to the loss of income. But Christopher Nolan has stepped up to the plate and basically pleaded the case to the US Senate to try and get them to fund them while they're closed down.
I mean, if anyone's going to listen, you'd listen to Christopher Nolan, wouldn't you?
Yeah. And this as well is happening the first time ever in history the US box office hit zero in revenue. It hit zero. It hit zero. Zero revenue. So there was still money coming in, but like not enough. The books aren't getting over zero.
It's crazy.
Which is kind of insane.
Yeah. It's because obviously there's not been anything new at the box office to release, is there? So
obviously, like we discussed last week as well, lots more films are releasing digitally. We've got news that Disney are releasing Call of the Wild and Downhill early on demand.
Call of the Wild is the Harrison Ford and the CGI dog.
Yeah, Harrison Ford's dog friend.
Yeah. Thought it was.
So that is releasing on VOD, and I'm going to guess Disney Plus soon. What they seem to be doing is releasing some on video on demand before Disney Plus.
Oh, okay.
So where you have to pay to view it. So Onward is meant to be being brought forward to this week, being released on video on demand, and then first week in April it's going to be on Disney Plus.
Would you pay for, if you had to pay a premium? I mean, we spoke about this on the last episode a bit anyway, but would you pay a premium on top of your Disney Plus subscription, for example, to watch a newer release like, let's say, Onward, or let's say, I wouldn't pay for a Call of Wild.
I would not pay for CGI dogs friends with Harrison Ford. No. Onward, maybe, if it wasn't too bad of a premium. Like The Invisible Man, I watched. That was $9.99, but there was a load of us, so like it was worth it. There was like 5 of us watching it, so didn't feel like too much. Whereas I don't know, if it's just going to be me watching Onward by myself, I'd probably wait for it to come out on Disney Plus.
Yeah, for sure.
I do like Pixar films, but when you can just wait an extra week, I think this was your argument. Like if it's just like wait an extra week and get it for free, then I probably would. Other films releasing early on demand: Ben Affleck's The Way Back, which is just come out, I think, last week. I believe that's the story of a rehabilitated alcoholic sports coach for a basketball team. So that's now released on, or about to be released on demand. Sonic the Hedgehog has been brought forward for release on demand. That'll be coming out soon. Do we have an exact date? March 31st. It'll be available online.
Cool.
At least in the US anyway. And then finally, just a few things being pushed back and delayed. Obviously, like we've already talked about, The Flash was supposed to start pre-production this month.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, next month, April. I keep forgetting we're not in April yet.
Not just yet.
That is being pushed back even further. I'm sure that film was meant to have come out like a year ago or 2 years ago.
Yeah, well, it's gone through all its rigmarole with directors and, you know, the DC EU in general. So,
and then Marvel's The Eternals is still on track at the moment because the VFX artists are working on the movie from home. A lot of them are either still working in offices or working remotely.
Well, they were doing a lot of the green screen stuff anyway. That was the film that we talked about last week that's still carrying on, but it's just doing a lot of the stuff that doesn't involve going out and location shooting and stuff.
Yeah, like the Eternals wrapped shooting a while ago, so it's only VFX really left to do visually, and obviously grading and stuff like that as well. But it's going to be a VFX heavy film. You bring in all the Celestials, then obviously you've got a cast of, I think it's like 9 main characters, and they're all going to have superpowers as well. So there's a lot of VFX work. So the fact that they're able to do this online, the fact that they've got computers powerful enough to do that at home.
Well, I was going to say they'll have some serious Mac Pros going on at home then, won't they?
Yeah, they'll like have some like massive servers brought round to the house. Marvel will just be there like, you get a server, and you get a server, and you get a server. Just pump out this film at home.
Yeah.
And then we'll do all the rendering later. Don't worry about it.
Cool. Is that it in terms of news on your end then?
One last one, which is really exciting because I've been looking into lots of stuff about Mad Max Fury Road this week because, I've had a lot of spare time on my hands and it's one of my favourite films. I think it's a great film. So Mad Max 5, the Furiosa spin-off, is finally getting somewhere. After 5 years since the last one came out, we're finally seeing some sort of movement now. George Miller was hoping to start shooting next year Obviously, with all the pushbacks that are happening at the moment, it might be pushed back until later on next year than he was hoping. And also Anya Taylor-Joy, who should be in the upcoming New Mutants, although we never know if that's going to come out. She's in Emma at the moment. She was in the Witch, I believe she was in as well. Yeah, she's in talks to be the lead character. It's a Furiosa spin-off, but the lead character is not going to be Furiosa. Again, like sort of Mad Max was.
Yeah, just obviously having her more prominent. To be honest, she was pretty prominent in Fury Road anyway.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it was a Furiosa film, really, that film. Like, it was sort of like hidden under the radar. But I'm so glad that this has finally got the wheels in motion now.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, one last thing as well.
Oh, there's always one last thing with you, isn't there?
One more thing. As Jackie Chan's uncle in the animated series would say, one more thing. The Golden Globes have altered their film eligibility rules following the closure of theatres.
So is this... Because obviously, is this to push what films would be accepted into the awards a little bit further along, so that obviously with things being delayed that should have came out this year, it's to still qualify them for that year's Golden Globes, is it?
Yeah. So we discussed this a while ago when we were talking about the awards and everything like that. To be nominated in certain awards categories, you need a limited cinema run. But obviously, with all the COVID-19 stuff going on, a lot more cinemas are closing or films are getting delayed, etc., etc. So basically, they're changing it so that they don't need to have a full cinema release now, I believe. I haven't read the full article yet, but it's still like heading in the right direction. Which is what we've been saying for a while, is like, do these films need a major release like that? Like, The Irishman only showed in a few cinemas for a couple of days before it released on Netflix, just so that it was eligible for the Oscars. So, you might see a lot more independent filmmakers that wouldn't be able to pay for it to be in cinemas being nominated now as well. So if they can get the funding straight from Netflix and not get a cinema release and just release solely on Netflix, then they can still be nominated for these bigger awards, which a lot of the UK independent awards that were only nominated in the BAFTAs didn't get any sort of cinema release in America, and they weren't eligible for any of the independent film awards over there, which was a real shame because they were great films. But
at least it gives more of a chance for stuff to be recognised this year in light of everything that's happened.
Indeed, and that's all I've got for the news.
No more things.
We're done.
You sure?
No, nothing else. I just hit my microphone. No, we're done.
So, obviously, this is going to be a bit weird for people that are listening to it on the podcast when we release it next week. We are obviously doing Instagram Live, just to remind you, so we do have people posting in our little comment section. Briff was in the comments before, and he was very excited to see Mulan.
Well, that's a shame, because he won't be seeing it for a while.
He very much enjoyed your data facts, and then he was wondering why we weren't replying to him, and then he said we could do pay-per-view. But we've got a very professional business to run here. I'll have you know, Briff. We need to keep our attention focused on recording.
I think we're getting into the meat and bones, the meat and two veg of the issue.
Now we're going to move on to the main topic, which we touched upon a bit before, binge-worthy TV shows for the lockdown. So UK is fully in the swing of the lockdown. We're 3 days in.
Monday night it was announced.
But it'll also be even longer than that for some people that have been working from home and stuff like that. So
I don't know about you, but I'm already getting cabin fever.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it only kicked in from Tuesday when there was the official announcement. And to be honest, even then, I was still going back into a little bit. But no, the last 2 days have been fully working from home. So
yeah,
obviously,
I've been working from home for a week now, and I'm feeling caged in now.
Yeah. And obviously, to get you through this, we've got to touch on some TV shows that you can leave in the background, stuff that you may not have gone and watched. So obviously, we said before that we weren't talking like go watch Stranger Things, because let's face it, you've probably watched Stranger Things. And some more stuff that maybe you'd look at if you had like a recommendation or something.
I think there's definitely stuff on this list that people will have already have checked out, but maybe it's stuff that not enough people have checked out, or maybe just go back and watch it again because it is so binge-worthy.
Yeah, for sure. Just really quickly, when we put the topic out, or the question out for this topic, we did get a couple of other random little questions. So just to really quickly shout them out, we had Emily say we wanted to do Harry Potter, but I can't physically do a Harry. I can't physically talk about Harry Potter any longer than like 5-10 minutes.
Name a spell. Name a spell.
No, because I'll embarrass myself. And I'm going to balls it up, so it don't matter. We had a little message from Sage_Morai on Instagram. Not quite what we were looking for, but they just said they were loving the vibe. So that's someone who's actually messaged us that we don't know that liked the podcast, which is nice. And then
excellent.
A little question before we get on to the topic. We had a message from Cameron Glasgow on Instagram saying, "What's your favourite song?" So I think he
clearly don't know what the podcast is about, do they?
I think he probably wants
to
do an episode of the podcast all on our favourite songs. But go on, Chris, I'll put you on the spot. What's your favourite song at the minute?
Oh, right now, it would have to be off The Weeknd's new album. Most of the stuff off The Weeknd's new album is just a jam.
Yeah.
What's the one that I keep playing? Not Heartbreak. I can't remember. I keep annoying my girlfriend with it.
Yeah. I'll say the first song on my playlist is Helpless, John Mayer, so we'll go with that.
Okay, cool.
It's a jam.
Excellent.
Right, so, main topic. Now, we're going to take it in turns to talk about which TV series we reckon are binge-worthy for the current situation. We've picked like 3-4 of them each. I've picked a couple of extra ones just in case we pick the same thing, which hopefully, I mean, knowing that, we may not have picked the same thing. No.
I literally just super quick, I had to like scrape the back of my mind. I was like, what's like a binge-worthy show? I've got another one that I'm going to put on here.
Well, you put your list on the document that we both see. So
because you told me to.
No, I didn't tell you. I said...
Yeah, you did. You said put them in the keep.
I maybe didn't make it very clear. So I put my list on my own notes, so Chris hasn't seen my list. But I've seen one off Chris's list. So, okay. Do you want to start?
No, I think you start.
Okay, I'll start. So
go in with the surprise.
I'll cover off the ones that I've got, but then we'll do a couple of honourable mentions if you've not mentioned them. So to start us off...
I've got some honourable mentions as well.
Cool. So to start us off, binge-worthy TV... I'm going to start with James May, Our Man in Japan, that's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I binged this in one day.
You know what? I tried to avoid stuff that was maybe like one season, but this is actually ace. It's really good. Like, even if you're not interested in Japan in general, which I don't know why you'd watch the episode anyway. what would possess you to want to watch, of all people, James May explore Japan if you're not interested in Japan is beyond me. But it's just well entertaining, and you actually learn quite a bit from it as well. So like you know, it's quite cool.
It's got that weird James May charm to it as well. Like if you didn't watch Top Gear or anything like that, I think he was most people's like least favorite member of Top Gear, but I think he was probably the funniest because he's just weird and he's bizarre and like he's proper dry with everything he says. Like if you watch any of his other documentary series, like he's so nerdy, it's funny.
Yeah,
and, like.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you ever see his garage, like he's got a massive maybe underground garage with like hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of cars, and then he's just got like Dacias in the background and stuff. Sorry, Datchas. But yeah, I mean, if this was, say, like, I don't know, Richard Hammond doing this, I just don't think it would have had the same like humor factor that it's got. No,
like, I think
because he's so awkward.
Yeah, he's so awkward. Like, there's one of the first episodes is him going on where there's like 6 or 7 huskies that like pull this sled that he's on. And it's him like trying to figure out how to move this sled, but it's just so funny with the way he is. And it's like, and there's always these moments throughout. It's like a documentary. There's always these moments where it breaks that like fourth wall of the documentary, where it gets the crew really involved. And then you realise that, oh wait, they're not actually like acting as much and setting stuff up. It's actually just generally how mental it is.
There's a surprising amount of like behind the scenes stuff in it, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like the bit with the robot that just keeps telling him the same fact over and over and over again, and he's just cracking up. He just can't keep it together, and the crew are just like dicking about in the background.
Yeah, and the pacing of it all, like when you watch something like that, it's really easy to like lose interest in what's going on, especially when he does bits like the calligraphy stuff in Japan where they do like have you've seen it, haven't you? So he does all the banners and stuff like that where he gets his name written in a haiku, or not in a haiku, but written in traditional Chinese, and then he's got all these little bits where he talks about haikus and stuff. Japanese, where he talks about haikus, which are like short Japanese poems and stuff. But it takes the tempo down, and then something really funny happens, and it's just one of those things where it's really like an interesting. It's not like your typical travel documentary, you know what I mean? It felt hilarious.
It felt more like a small like YouTube series. Like we watch Abroad in Japan a lot. Yeah, and it felt very much like that. It was a little bit off the cuff. It was a lot funnier, but you did actually still learn something from it. I've never enjoyed haiku so much. So haikus are, what is it? It's a 3-line poem, which is 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. Is it?
Yeah.
And it's just so funny.
And it's almost like there's parts where the humour's like a little bit R-rated, but it's just hilarious because it's James May. So that is definitely one, if you are stuck for stuff to watch or you just want to stick something in the background where you can learn something and it's interesting and it's a bit funny. James May, our man in Japan. Definitely.
I was really out of left field. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So I'll start off with the first one on my list, which I wrote down straight away because not enough people, I don't think, are watching this right now, or at least not enough people are talking about this right now. And that's the new Lock and Key series that's on Netflix.
Have you seen it all, the first season?
I've seen all of it, yeah.
Have
you watched all of it?
No, I've not had a chance to watch any of Lock and Key yet. Not watched any of it.
So this is something that I suggested a while ago. Maybe we did an episode on because I just kind of wanted to talk about it a little bit because I don't think people are watching it or not talking about it enough. I think it's a pretty faithful adaptation of the comic book. It's a graphic novel written by Joe Hill and art by Rodriguez. What's his first name? I've got it up on my shelf, but I don't want to like disturb the audio and go grabbing it.
It's okay, yeah.
But like Joe Hill is Stephen King's son, if you didn't know, and that speaks very much to what this is about. It's a coming-of-age, trippy horror sci-fi show where basically this family of 3 kids and a mum, their father dies suspiciously. You discover in like the first or second episode how he dies. He was murdered, and it was proper weird what's going on. And they move into his old ancestral home, the family, the Key House. So they're the Lock family into Key House, where there's these strange keys hidden around the house which unlock either doors or people's minds, or they can change your identity and stuff like that. And it's just a really interesting exploration of like sort of horror elements and then like coming of age and dealing with grief and everything. And it's just a really well put together show. And this has been tried to make it into a show like 3 times.
Well, because I knew it was based off a comic book, but I got confused between this and Cloak and Dagger. I thought I thought they were the same thing. Lock and Key, Cloak and Dagger, comic books.
Cloak and Dagger, if you don't know, is a Marvel property about teenagers, which is on Hulu, I believe.
Oh, wrong person to ask. Absolute wrong person to ask about
Lock and Key, Cloak and Dagger, this and that. Yeah, I kind of get where you're coming from, but at the same time, they could not be any further apart. But I think this show, like the first series, like was enough to keep you interested, and the way that it ends is setting up season 2. But I think it's like the only Netflix show that I've seen a month after its release has not had a season 2 already announced. So we're a bit unsure at the moment. They've tried to, like I said, make this show a couple times. There's a couple pilots out there which got released, but they never got picked up. But yeah, I think it's really worth it. And the creators of the comic book are also in the show. They make a small cameo as well.
Oh,
so in the
okay.
comic book, they make a cameo as these two paramedics, and in the show, the artist drew the paramedics to look like Joe Hill and the artist Thingy Rodriguez. I can't
okay.
remember his name, and then they appear as the paramedic in the show as well.
So when I watched the trailer,
cool.
For this, and probably the reason why I've not watched it yet is the vibe I got from the trailer is that this series was a bit slow. But would you say, because you've seen it all, would you say it's quite interesting? Is it got like a good? Well, I mean, obviously it's on your binge-worthy list. Of course, you like it, but is it slow, and do you have to kind of stay with it before it gets?
No. Do you know what? It's a concise. I think it's 9 episodes. There's not much filler in between. Like the story's always progressing. It never really lulls. There's a couple characters in there which I wish they spent a little bit less time with, but for what you get with the main characters, it's worth it. And like the explorations with like the head key, sorry, it's called. I nearly called it the Mind Stone. That's the Infinity Saga. The head key, the way that they reinvented it from the show was really interesting. You're able to go inside of other people's heads into the memories and emotions and all that and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt very much like what a struggling family would go through in this sort of circumstance. And also there's a subplot later on with the mum being an ex-alcoholic as well, which is really interesting, the way that they explore how that interacts with the house and the keys and stuff. I think it's definitely worth it, because it's only a small amount of episodes. I think it's definitely worth like blowing through in a couple of days. Like I would maybe split up like the last 2 or 3 episodes, because there is a lot going on. Maybe don't watch all 3 in a row unless you're really into it. But yeah.
Cool. Right. So we both started with 2 TV shows that are only 1 season.
Yeah.
So
which is easy, because then you can binge it and move on to another show, maybe like Sam's next one.
It is also another TV show that only has 1 season.
Okay.
But we may as well get them out the way first. Mine next one is, people may have watched this already, but I think that a lot of people would see it and think that it's going to be very comic booky, and because it's not a property that everyone's heard of before, maybe they've not watched it.
I think I know what you're going to talk about now.
But I watched it and properly enjoyed it, and then my girlfriend watched it as well, and she enjoyed it, which I was quite surprised about. It is The Umbrella Academy on Netflix.
Yeah.
A very, very, very good TV series that has been set up very heavily for a new season, season 2. But it's awesome. It's quite interesting. It is a superhero-y. It's an X-Men-y film.
Yeah,
X-Men-y,
it's very X-Men-y.
Yeah, it's very X-Men-y. But it's almost like it's very dark, and it's very much more modern than what the X-Men films were.
Just to set it up, this is a comic book that was originally written, well, it was created by Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance.
Yes,
so
exactly.
That speaks to the sort of tone that it is.
Yes.
It's very much like emo punky sort of thing.
So this
Gritty.
is what he did after the band, didn't he? Because he went and become a comic book writer. So
yeah.
This is that. And yeah, to be honest with you, I watched it ages ago when it first came out, because I was keeping up with it. And yeah, in terms of the plot, it's really interesting. It's really different. A lot of stuff happens in there that you just do not expect. It's got time travel. It's got all sorts in it. But the characters and stuff, the actors, they're all really, really interesting. It's got
Ellen
Page, obviously from Juno and stuff. She's awesome in that. I watched Juno the other day actually, and she just doesn't look any different at all.
No, she hasn't changed, has she?
Yeah,
Juno's a good film.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, it just in terms of it, I can't recommend a series enough, really. With the
I'm going to
Umbrella
find
Academy.
the guy's name out, but the guy that plays the drug addict that can see the dead brother, so one of the Robert Sheehan,
Okay, yeah.
I think is how you say his name, Klaus.
Yeah.
He is so good in this. He is so good in everything. Okay, an honourable mention, he was in Misfits, which was a British
Yes, he was.
superhero-esque show
Yeah.
where a bunch of young offenders get superpowers, and he plays a similar character in that. Like, he plays unhinged, crazy, bizarre characters so well.
Yeah,
he's so funny throughout.
Yeah, because he's obviously this, like, people think he's seeing the dead because he's, like, off on drugs all the time. But it's one of them, yeah. We don't want to obviously spoil these because the idea is that you can go and binge them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, you've just got a really interesting bunch of characters. You've got Ellen Page's character, who is the violin girl, whose powers you don't really figure out until later on. You've got the dead one, who is just he's got tentacles and everything. But you have these flashbacks and stuff where you see like the powers happening, which is really cool.
You've got a talking monkey butler.
You've got a talking monkey butler. You've got Luther, who's got a bit of a dark secret that you find out about.
Yeah.
And then you've got you've got all sorts. It's really, really good. There's a scene in there where it's got that Dancing in the Moonlight track. And it is like one of my favourite scenes that I've seen in like a Netflix TV series. It's just something.
The action choreography is really good in it, to be fair.
Yeah, there's just a lot of feel-good parts to this TV series. For as dark as it is, it's got a lot of really feel-good parts.
I think it nicely balances the dark stuff with the comedy, because it is very much a black comedy, but it balances them pretty well.
And I think that's why this series, although you would think that you would have to be into, say, the Marvel Netflix stuff like The Punisher and Jessica Jones and stuff to be able to enjoy something like The Umbrella Academy, you don't have to, because it covers all bases.
I think it's similar to like Lock and Key. It's based off a comic book, but it's very much just a weird abstract story that could only really be delivered as a comic book until we got streaming services. Like The Umbrella Academy never would have got picked up on a TV network 5 years ago when it was written. So the fact that Gerard Way created it as a comic book, I think it was printed under, was it Dark Horse or Vertigo? I know he works for Vertigo now, which is a DC imprint. So,
Well, he works for the band on that reunion now, doesn't he?
He does.
It's all got cancelled. That's another thing that got cancelled this year.
He's also been doing Doom Patrol as well. Like, he's writing a load of great stuff. He also did a Batman comic book that never got released, but the artwork is done for it, and the designs are very much Gerard Way.
Very cool. So we've had James May, Our Man in Japan. We've had The Umbrella Academy. And we had Lock and Key so far. Yes. So what's your second recommendation?
So I'm going to go with the theme at the moment and go with abstract comic book series. And I'm going to go with an Amazon original, Preacher.
Ooh, I thought you were about to go with The Boys then.
See, I thought you were going to talk about The Boys.
And The Boys is very
mention
good.
To The Boys.
The Boys is very good. It's a very, very good
quick,
series.
Honourable mention to The Boys. The Boys surprised me with how much I enjoyed it. I've never read the comic book, didn't know anything about it going in, and it's so snotty and gory and so darkly hilarious. You just got hooked to watching it. There's some moments in there that made me squirm so much, but it's so funny.
Homelander is the most weirdest hero that you will grow to feel so sorry for but hate at the same time. Just so good.
I did not even feel sorry. Yeah. So you hate him, then you kind of grow to sympathize with him, and then you just hate him again.
Yeah.
This guy is twisted. He's basically Superman if Superman was fucked up.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what Brightburn tried to be, really.
Yeah. We digress anyway. So Preacher. I've not seen any of Preacher, but I've heard it's really good. So go on, tell us about Preacher.
Preacher was an Amazon series that was made by Seth Rogen about Gareth Ennis, I believe it was, comic book, about a guy who, his father was a preacher, he lost the faith, and then he's had like a very dark seeded past, and then he's come back to his small town to pick up as the preacher of their small town. Weird stuff is going on in the place. Just stuff that you can't explain. The whole basically town is just on a ticking time bomb throughout the entire thing. Like, more and more bizarre things are happening. There's vampires, there's other planes to like hell and stuff like that. It's such a good show to just binge through because it's just bizarre again, and it's funny, and it's got great acting. It's got Dominic Cooper in the lead role, who you might know from like the Marvel Cinematic Universe and stuff like that. Let me get up the cast. It's got...
So is this a bit like Constantine kind of vibes? That you've got going on with it?
Yeah, but it's just so dark. So it's got Ruth Negga in it as well. She is now Oscar nominated, I believe, for a film a few years back with Joel Edgerton. I think it's like Just Love or something like that. Joel Gilgun, sorry, who is a British actor. He plays Cassidy the vampire. He was also on Misfits. He just plays bizarre, funny drug addict characters as well. So he plays a vampire, and it's like proper like vampirism, like they can't go out in the sunlight type thing, and it's just bizarre seeing what goes on in the town. There's a character only known as Arseface, who is
Does he look like how he's named?
So his face is all sort of like melted and twisted and stuff like that. Like it's tragic what happened to him, but not tragic at the same time. So he ends up blowing his own face off with a shotgun.
Okay.
And like, you shouldn't be laughing at the whole situation, but somehow the way they do it, the way it's written, is just fucking hilarious. But again, it's dark. And then like you got the Saint of Killers and stuff like that, who is chasing down them in season 2 and stuff like that. So season 2 leaves the town and goes on like a road trip to like New Orleans and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
And they've got this unrelenting demon killer coming for them. Yeah, it's bizarre. You can't explain it without just watching it. It like the ratings, it's on like 89% on Rotten Tomato.
Okay, that's quite respectable.
For season 1, like it's on nearly 90%. Like this is definitely worth a watch. The cast and the crew are fantastic. Like you don't get Dominic Cooper in for a naff show, do you? Like
No.
Dominic Cooper is doing whatever he wants at the moment.
Yeah, no, of course.
I believe it's finished now as well. I think it only had 3 seasons, 43 episodes.
Oh, okay. So
Last one was in September 2019. Season 4 has been confirmed, but I believe it's the last season. I remember seeing somewhere about last season.
okay, so it's quite bingeable then.
Yeah, definitely. You can watch the first season in like a day and a half.
Sweet, cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
And is it on Amazon Prime, did you say?
It's on Amazon Prime.
Sweet.
It's an AMC job in America, but it was on Amazon in the UK.
Sweet. So
Bingeable.
So James May, our man in Japan. I'm going to recap every time. James May, our man in Japan. The Umbrella Academy, Preacher, and Lock and Key. So far.
Yes.
Sweet. How many more do you have, Chris, on your list?
I've got 3 more.
Okay, we're going to get this rolling a little bit then.
Yeah.
Because I've got a few more. I'm going to suggest my next one is The Bodyguard on Netflix. It's got Richard Madden in it, who is in Game of Thrones, and he's going to be in The Eternals, and it is wicked. It's very, very good, The Bodyguard. It's like a British drama, a bit like a crime drama.
Yeah, it was on BBC, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And it is so tense. It's really, really good. I can't remember whether it only had 1 season or whether it had 2. But like I say, it's available on Netflix. It is real good. It's
I believe, don't quote me on this, I think it was meant to be 1 season, but the response to it might be getting a second one.
Yeah.
I believe, maybe I've heard.
Richard Madden absolutely kills it as the role of the bodyguard in here. It's got, I can't think of the actor's name, but it doesn't matter. But it's just dead tense. There's a really famous scene that you've probably seen already on like Facebook and online and stuff, where he's protecting somebody in a car and the car starts to get shot by a sniper, and the glass is bulletproof and the car's bulletproof, but it's the driver that gets shot and he's like covered in blood and stuff, and it's dead tense. And then he gets out and he goes into the building. But the twists and turns that take you there are just what ends up keeping you hooked and watching it. There are moments in this where there's a bit of a romance point going on. And I don't know whether part of it that makes it quite interesting is obviously because it's set in the UK. It's not often that we get really, really good UK like police dramas like this. I know you've got Line of Duty's pretty good, Luther's pretty good, but I really feel like The Bodyguard is like a different kind of caliber to that.
Yeah, this reminds me a lot. So I haven't seen all of it, but Britain used to be really good at its cop shows and stuff. And I think after sort of like 2011, 2013, we sort of
Like
dipped a bit. I
The
think
Bill.
people got tired of it. Yeah, so we had The Bill, which was an ongoing sitcom, wasn't it? We had Spooks. We had, what was the other one that got made into a film? We had loads of shows. So we had like Life on Mars as well, which was a police procedural set in the 70s, I want to say.
I'll believe what you say when you go that high with
60s
your
or
voice.
70s.
Totally.
Which also, the sequel series to Life on Mars was Ashes to Ashes, which had Keely Hawes, who is the woman being protected in The Bodyguard. What's her character called?
She is the she is the
It
minister.
says the right, and that's all it says.
The minister of something she is. Either way, we don't want to go too heavy on plot because obviously the idea is for people to watch it. But yeah, very, very, very good TV series that you may have seen on Netflix and just not watched. But you may think, oh, that's the guy from Game of Thrones. But yeah, if you see that guy from Game of Thrones and it says The Bodyguard, give it a watch.
He was also really good in Rocket Man as well.
I've not seen Rocket Man.
He's really good in Rocket Man.
He's also very good for the little bit of 1917 he's in.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Very good.
Okay, anything else to say about that?
No, just go watch it. It's good.
I think maybe following on from that as well, maybe go back and watch some of the old British like stuff like Spooks. I really like Spooks, and then Spooks Code 9 was a spin-off that they did, which lasted for 1 or 2 seasons, which I really enjoyed back in the day.
An honourable mention for Line of Duty as well. Very good.
Okay, so my next one. Ooh, I've got 3 that I want to talk about here, and they're all sort of like, they're like half-hour comedy sitcom type things. Not quite a sitcom, but you know what I mean. Okay, I'm going to go with my favourite one first. Scrubs.
Okay. Scrubs.
I had to decide which one was my favourite for a second there, but
Now,
Scrubs.
Questionably, people may have already have watched Scrubs. But it's got that rewatch factor that Friends has.
It
where
definitely
you can go back
has.
and rewatch it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think enough people talk about it the same way they talk about Friends, and that's why I put it on this list. Because I know for me and you in the UK, it used to be shown on Comedy Central, E4, Channel 4, everything like that. Like, we saw it a lot, and this is where I fell in love with it. Was just it was all that was on TV for like a long stretch of time, and just seeing the character, because it went on for, we'll say 8 seasons. There is a 9th season, but we ignore that season because the story ended after 8 seasons, and then they tried to bring it back with a new cast of characters, including Dave Franco.
Kind of sounds
and
a
it
bit
just
like
didn't work.
Kind of sounds like people opinion of Game of Thrones. Ignore that last series.
Yeah, but like seeing the characters grow from being med students in season 1 all the way through to essentially running the show at the end of season 8, seeing the romances come and go, like heartbreak, like it's got every emotion in this show, and it is painfully funny. Like you've got the running narration from JD, and like it is his point of view. It's kind of like How I Met Your Mother, that sort of way, but like he's just so bizarre. He's got so many random cutaways to different comedy jokes and stuff like that, and the bromance between Turk and JD is quality. Like, I cannot talk enough good stuff about the show. It's got John C. McGinley in it as Dr. Cox. Fantastic. Like, there isn't a single person that has been in this that hasn't done other amazing things. And a lot of them, like, so JD, what's his name now? Zach Braff, while he was doing the first series or the second series, he was also doing Garden State. And then he directed that one, I believe. He then started writing and directed in his own films as well, like Wish You Were Here and stuff like that. Amazing guy, great actor, great thought-provoking like writer. And then you've got Sarah Chalke. She went on to be in How I Met Your Mother and other sitcoms and stuff like that. John C. McGinley, obviously, he was in the Belko Experiment. He was in, what was it? Back in the 90s, Office Space, stuff like that. Like, he's such a like great actor. Like, the way he flipped between comedy and serious, it's great. It's got every range of emotions in there. It's a great narrative from season 1 to season 8. just go watch it and laugh your tits off. Like, you'll fall in love with the characters. It'll become one of your favorite shows.
Awesome.
Definitely. And because it's a very easy watch as well, you could have it on in the background if you didn't want to pay that much attention to it, if you're working from home or just in quarantine.
Cool, awesome. So I'm going to follow that one up, and my suggestion is going to be quite a similar thing. It's got a lot of episodes, it's got a lot of seasons, and it's definitely dead funny, is The Office US.
Okay.
Now, I put this on here because a lot of people may have only preferred the UK version of The Office, and
like, I feel like a lot of people have seen this in the past. Like, it got really popular a couple of years ago, didn't it? But it's definitely so binge-worthy.
It's purely popular for the memes, and it's meme central, absolute meme central. But yeah, The Office US, it doesn't need much of an introduction at all. It's got a killer cast with Steve Carell, John Krasinski, the whole lot is wicked. There was too many actors and actresses to think off the top of my head.
Aziz Ansari's in there, isn't he?
Is he in there? Are you not thinking of Parks and Rec?
I thought he was in this as well for a little bit.
It might
Maybe I'm misremembering.
I can't quite remember. Rainn Wilson, obviously, Dwight. It's a no-brainer, and if you just want to put something on in the background and just go brain dead while you're working from home, it'll give you a few laughs every now and then when you flick over and watch it. I don't need to say any more about The Office.
I forgot Idris Elba was in it for a bit.
Yeah, there's honestly, you have like features in it like all the way through. Just really, it's awesome, and also like you really do attach to the characters, especially Jim and Pam and Dwight, and things that Mike. Oh, what's his name?
Who?
Michael Scott, stuff that Michael Scott goes through. Yeah, it's wicked. It doesn't need any more.
I think they made a really smart decision as well. Like, season 1 follows season 1 of the UK Office a lot. Like, you've got the same moments with like the office party between Jim and Pam and all that and everything. But what they did with season 2 was they made Jim and Pam the lead characters and took it away from Michael Scott.
Mm-hmm.
And it made him be like the comedic foil, like he was able to sort of step back, so then when he was in it, it wasn't overblown, because in the first series, like, he's like forcing the comedy a lot and it's all based around him, whereas the funnier bits was everybody else in the background.
Yeah.
So it made him be able to step into that role of being in the background, and the bizarre things that he does end up impacting the other characters.
Yeah, like you get some really funny moments from Kevin and Creed. And interesting fact, Creed's name is Creed in real life.
Yeah.
That's a couple of characters you have that as well, which is quite interesting. And there is also now an Office US podcast with Andrea and Pam. Those actors.
Okay. Are they talking about the show?
I think so. Yeah, I think they go.
They're doing
over,
like a rewatch.
I think they talk about some of the favorite episodes and stuff like that, and probably some other bits and bobs as well.
Okay.
But yeah, The Office US, definitely binge worthy.
Yeah. And then you'll understand a lot more of the memes as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Parkour.
And the memes are awesome. So when you have a moment where you're like, there is a meme for this, no doubt there is an Office US meme for that.
Definitely.
Exactly.
It's so binge-worthy as well. I think I went through... How many seasons are there? 6? 7?
Oh, there's a lot.
9.
Man. There's a lot.
9.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I discovered today, literally when I was going through the news, apparently in the final season they were planning on breaking up Jim and Pam.
Oh, no, you couldn't do that.
I know.
You couldn't do that. Not again, anyway.
Know.
Let's not get into it.
But it is so binge-worthy. Like, you can get through it in like a week if you push it hard enough.
Yeah, for sure. What's your next one, Chris?
Okay, so I'm going to stick in the same vein of these comedy shows, and I'm going to go with Community next.
Very good choice. That's the one. That's the one I saw on your list.
I thought you were going to talk about this one a second ago when you were talking about comedy setups like this, because I know you love this show as well.
Yeah, it's
it took me so long to get you to watch it, but then when you finally watched it, you binged it.
Yeah, I did. I binged it quite a while ago, to be fair, so it is probably a perfect time to revisit Community.
I joined on this show, I think, in season 3 or 4, and then I had to wait every week for this to come out, and that is not a fun thing. This show deserves to be binge watched.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, So, if you don't know anything about Community, it was created by Dan Harmon, which is half of the creative team behind Rick and Morty, so you know it's going to be smart and funny. Too smart for its own good. It's got Jim McHale, who used to be a talk show host. It's got Childish Gambino in there, Donald Glover himself. It's got Chevy Chase for a while before he left because he was a nightmare to work with, apparently. It's got Jim Rush. It's got Yvette Nicole Brown. It's got Alison Brie. She was doing this at the same time, I believe she was doing Mad Men.
Oh, okay. Yeah, interesting.
Who else has it got in there?
It's got
Danny Puddy.
Yeah, it's got a huge cast, and it's got the principal. Is that?
Yeah, Jim Rush.
That's Jim Rush. Yeah,
the dean.
Yeah, the dean. He's acing it.
Yeah, and like he is like such a small part until like halfway through season 2, and then every episode you're waiting for the Dean joke. The way that they find the structure of the show, it's like he'll just come in a bizarre costume with something random to say.
Mm-hmm.
Also, this show has got a bottle episode, and I was thinking maybe we do bottle episodes because what is a bottle episode? It's all contained inside of one room to save budget and everything like that. It's like set within a small thing, and it's normally like either a retrospective or a weird thing that could only happen when being contained or quarantined into one room.
I like it.
There's an episode in there for the theme, for what everyone's going through right now, but it's just such a bizarre show. I think you need to get past like the first half of season 1 is probably the worst the show is because it was still finding its footing.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it figures out who the characters are and how you can push the comedy. Like, it is just absolutely outrageous. Like, as soon as you get to the first paintball episode, I think you understand where the show is going going forward. So then every episode has like a paintball episode where they riff on like a different genre. So like one time it's action films, one time it's Western films, then they change it to like the floor is lava later on. So like the school just essentially closes down. So I didn't even give you the premise of the show. It's a bunch of characters in a community college. So it's like the lowest of the low of like American colleges apparently, and like it's just bizarre people all thrown together. There's students in there that have been going for like 60 years. So you've got like old age pensioners in there mixed with like people straight out of high school and stuff like that. It's just a boiling pot of different weird personalities. Like everyone's broken in some sort of weird way.
Yeah.
And they just play off the comedy of that so much. And like it breaks its own rules all the time. There's always funny little jokes going on in the background, especially because one of them is almost aware that he's in a TV show. So it's just so good. And again, it's one of those where you kind of ignore the last season because it got bought by Yahoo for the last season.
Oh dear.
So they lost half the cast. So Donald Glover left halfway through the show run because he wanted to focus on his music.
Yeah. Which
is fair enough. Like, Childish Gambino is one of the biggest artists in the world now because of it. He just dropped a new album. Check it out while you're quarantined.
Mm-hmm.
And then like in the final season, it just ended up properly like there was nobody left from the cast. Also, I think it's got
try not to talk too much about.
It's got Mike from Breaking Bad in it.
Does it?
Yeah, he joins near the end, doesn't he? He's the woodworking teacher.
Did I finish Community? I'm trying to remember. I think I did. I think it was just so long ago. I forgot Mike was in that.
Yeah, I'm going to double check that before I sound like an idiot again.
Yeah.
I'm 99.999% sure he was in it in the final season.
Yeah, I can't remember, unless, like I said, unless it was just that long ago that I watched it.
The greatest thing to come out... Yeah, Jonathan Banks, Professor Buzz Hickey, from 11 episodes.
Okay, fair enough.
One of the greatest things to come out of this was Joe and Anthony Russo. The Russo brothers...
Yes.
Like, were doing this, like, they became producers on the show and everything. They even wrote a few episodes. They honed in their skills on Community, and then they went on to do The Winter Soldier and then obviously The Avengers. That is why you keep seeing the cast of Community making cameos inside the Avengers films.
Yeah, for sure.
You're welcome.
We salute the Russo brothers.
Yes, such a good show. Like, that show is just bizarre. It's on Amazon in the UK. I've forced my girlfriend to start watching it, and she misses a couple episodes and then tunes back in, and she's like, I have no idea what's going on, but it's funny. You can easily skip an episode because there's not really that many running plots.
Mm-hmm.
So you can tune in and out of it and or watch them in any order if you want.
We're getting up to time now a little bit, so we're going to kind of do honourable mentions now for the rest of these, I think.
Okay. I'll move one of mine into honourable mentions just to get it over with quickly.
So I've only got another 4 to talk through, really. One of them I've not seen, but it's something that I'm going to watch because I've heard really good things about it. So
Okay.
I'll do my 4 honourable mentions, you do yours, and then we'll probably call it. So my first honourable mention is Fargo on Netflix. Definitely very, very, very good. You've got Jesse Clemens in there. You've got Ewan McGregor in there. You've got Martin Freeman in there. And each season is...
Billy Bob Thornton.
Billy Bob Thornton's in there. And each season is kind of contained in its own little story arc, but then they do link together in the end because you have references to other bits. Some stories are based on... it is on all true events as well. It just changes some of the names and some of the little bits of plot points and stuff to obviously pay respect to those people. Because
it's not wholly realistic as well, but it's based on true events, which is the bizarre thing.
And there's points in this where there's funny things that happen in some of the characters. The way they are quite funny, especially Martin Freeman's character. Because if you ever, it happens in the first episode, so it's not really a spoiler for it. But seeing Martin Freeman murder someone is just the weirdest thing, and you are sold from the get-go.
Especially, it's weird seeing him doing that accent and acting the way he is so different from every other character that he plays.
Yeah. Fargo is definitely an amazing watch. You should definitely
we talked about this on another episode a while ago, didn't we?
I think it was last episode, maybe, or the episode before we talked about Fargo.
Yeah, it was a couple episodes ago. Anyway.
Yeah. It was our most anticipated because there's a new season coming out for Fargo.
That's the one.
Yep, so Fargo's worth a watch. A second season for Dirty Money has come out, which is pretty interesting. Fargo is on Netflix. Dirty Money's on Netflix. Dirty Money it's a documentary series, docu-series on Netflix that talks about some of the biggest scandals across the world, mostly across America. One of them, for example, was the whole Volkswagen company and their fraudulent emissions testing, and then all that happened. One of the episodes is about HSBC and how they were funneling money for the cartel. Ooh. But it's all really, really interesting stuff. And if you're wanting to just kind of go down the rabbit hole on stuff, that is a awesome series.
Yeah, I've not seen that, so I am interested in it.
Yeah, the one thing I would say about Dirty Money is that the first season is definitely the most interesting stories. There are some definitely interesting bits in season 2, but I think you're not going to have heard of a lot of the stuff. Like the one that I watched was about Wells Fargo, and that was quite interesting, especially... Yeah, I digress anyway. Yeah, you should definitely go watch Dirty Money. Yeah. Last 2...
So following on from that one, if you want another documentary-esque thing, watch Explained on Netflix as well.
Oh,
that's pretty good. That's
good,
small bite-sized things. Each one discusses a different thing, and then they did one on cults that was really interesting, but also made my skin crawl.
Yeah,
they did one end of last year about the mind explained. So that was a mini 5-episode series, I think, about the brain and memories and everything like that. And then they've done, I think it's Sex Explained as well.
Yeah, it's quite scientific. It's a bit more scientific explained, where Dirty Money is a bit more like scandals and finance and big corporate conglomerates and stuff doing dodgy stuff. But but it's all real. It's all very, very, very real.
Another binge-worthy documentary series as well, which I've just started rewatching, is the Louis Theroux stuff. That's all on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
I just watched all of that. That's binge-worthy. We watched the UFO one the other day. It's bizarre.
Yeah, Louis Theroux, full stop. Yeah, watch everything he's done because it's dead funny. My last 2 bits to finish off really quick is if you're into Star Wars or if you're into Star Wars Rebels, I would say Rebels. Personally, I would say Rebels over Clone Wars. I think the first few seasons of Clone Wars age okay, but obviously a lot of people are rewatching that with the new season coming out. But I've just started going back because it's on Disney Plus, and some of it looks like bad video game graphics, so it kind of And obviously it's tough. It's a tough watch because it's a bit like it's a procedural, and
I think that was a lot more in the earlier seasons.
yeah, where Rebels follows like a really good plot. It ties in a lot with the movies, so if you've not seen it, definitely go watch it. Yeah, Rebels is awesome. That's on Disney
Also,
Plus.
if you're going to watch Clone Wars, there are lists out there which put all the episodes in chronological order if you want to do it that way as well. It's a lot more jumping about, but might help you follow it a bit more.
Yeah, if you're as nerdy as what we are and care about that. And my last one that I'm going to watch that I've heard is really good is The World According to Jeff Goldblum.
Okay, I love Jeff Goldblum, especially at the moment.
Yeah, that's meant to be really good as well. And that's it. I'm done.
Okay, there's one more that I've got on my list, and then a couple that I'm just going to sort of freeball off the top of my head as well. So, Always Sunny in Philadelphia was going to be one that I was going to cover, like, majorly. Like, that show is so binge-worthy. Again, it's just bizarre comedy that I don't even know how that show got made, and I don't know how it hasn't got banned multiple times, because, like, it chooses really difficult subject matter to like tackle, and you think the characters, like in most shows, if they're on the wrong side of that subject matter, will probably learn and they'll progress. But just as you see the characters about to make a mental breakthrough and do the right thing, they'll just pull the rug from underneath you, and it just goes batshit insane down the rabbit hole.
Danny DeVito is hilarious in this.
You cannot unsee an oiled up Danny DeVito crawl out of a leather couch naked.
That is the one scene that I was thinking of when we said Danny DeVito. So funny.
Also, they have a musical episode where one of the characters, Charlie Day, writes a musical about The Nightman Cometh, and oh my god, those songs will get stuck in your head, and also, how did they say those things? So yeah, Always Sunny in Philadelphia. There's a new series just come out on Netflix. So good. I think they're on 13 seasons now.
Wow. Yeah.
But they're like 20-minute episodes, and you can just binge through them dead easy. I think I've watched season 12 and season 13 in one day each, because there's not that many episodes in each season as well.
And then what are your final honourable
I was going to say, if you're into it, find an anime and binge watch some anime. There's so much good stuff out there. Pokemon's on Netflix if you want to watch Pokemon. Okay. That's a nice entry level one.
I'm going to jump in very quickly, right? Okay. I know that everything that we talked about is relatively not nerdy and stuff like that. Now, anime is not going to be for everybody. It's seriously not going to be for everybody. However, if you're willing to try something new, give it a go. There's a lot of really good stuff out there. I personally never sat down and watched anything like that. I think the one I can't really tell you. I think I tried to watch a little bit of Attack on Titan, but I just really struggle with them. But that's just me. But like I said, it's not for everyone, but it's definitely worth trying, because you may go down a rabbit hole of stuff, and there is tons of it. The
thing is, because there is tons of it, there's something out there for everyone. Like, you will be able to find something that you'll at least like whether you don't love it or want to dive down the rabbit hole like a lot of people. That's fair enough. Attack on Titan, everybody loves that. I don't like it. I think it's so hard to watch. I think it's just boring. The pacing's all over the place. Like, it doesn't get going until near the end of season 1. Like, so I would stay away from that. Like I said, Pokemon, everyone loves Pokemon and Pokemon Go and stuff like that. Maybe if you just want to check out a few episodes of that. One I will recommend is Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail is great. I think it's on Crunchyroll now if you want to view it. They've done like 200 episodes. Like, the thing with anime is there's so many episodes. If you want to start binging stuff and just give up halfway through, you can if you want, because there's that many episodes. Just start binging something. Just pick one. If you don't like the first episode, go on to something else. There's also stuff like Future Diary, which is just a one series thing, and Angel Beats. They're quite nice little one season, binge it in a day and a half type thing. So yeah, Fairy Tail is what I would recommend off them though. 7 Deadly Sins on Netflix as well is pretty good. But it is weird. It's weird. If you've never checked out anything like that before, you're going to be mind blown for for 2-3 episodes, and then you'll get into it.
I think it kind of helps if, when you were younger and stuff, that you watch things like Dragon Ball Z and stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's another one, Dragon Ball.
I think that helps because it gives you a little bit of nostalgia factor. Things like Code Lyoko and stuff like that. If you ever watched stuff like that on Cartoon Network back in the day, you'll get a little bit of nostalgia factor when you watch anime now.
Like,
but,
if you're around our age, you probably have seen something like this before, whether it's Pokemon, Digimon, Code Lyoko, like you said, Dragon Ball Z, One Piece was on Cartoon Network as well. There's so much stuff out there that you will have seen it at some point. Like, it's just like finding any other sort of cartoon. It's like watching Rick and Morty, only it's a bit weirder because there's like a cultural divide between us and Japan.
Yeah,
like there's stuff like there's sitcom like stuff in there as well. So just find something, just pick one. Go onto the anime section on Netflix and just choose a random one. Just do it. What have you got to lose? It's a 20-minute episode. What have you got to lose?
Yeah, true. Is that it? Is that all your...
Yeah, I'll leave it at that. There's some films that you can binge through as well.
We're not talking films.
We're not talking about... maybe that's
films.
next week if we still don't have anything to talk about.
So that wraps us up for this week. Obviously, if you're watching this on Instagram Live now, we're doing this on the Thursday, just while we're free, because of everything going on. Only very recently in the UK, we've gone into lockdown, so we thought get it done and out of the way so it can go out live on Monday. Where can people find us, Chris?
You can find us on Instagram like you're watching right now, or maybe you're not if you're just listening to us. We are at GetRealPod on Instagram. Share us with a friend on there, please. We are Twitter, at GetRealPod. We are Facebook, at GetRealPod. And our email address is getrealpoduk@gmail.com.
You can check out the podcast. It's live everywhere that you listen to podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and YouTube. Didn't forget YouTube this time.
Subscribe to us. Leave us a rate and review. Share us with your friends, please.
Yeah, and if you're watching this on Instagram Live, you're going back, 'cause I think this stays up for a little bit, let us know what you think. And if you're listening to it and you're not watching it, you should definitely go follow us on Instagram. So we might do it on Instagram Live again, maybe, because it's not actually took that much work to do this. No. And we have to do it distance anyway, because me and Chris aren't allowed to go near each other because of social distancing. We're staying very safe, and we're all okay.
Plus, if you watch us on Instagram, you might be able to guess what one of my favourite films are.
Yeah. To be continued. To be continued. So that's it. That's it for this week, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Just 1 second.
Right, I'm already rolling.
Yeah, okay.
I had to remember how to use Pro Tools again.
We are cool.
Are we going to do the classic 3, 2, 1 clap?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do.
Whose intro is this as well? I believe it's mine, isn't it?
It is yours this time.
No
pressure, it's live.
Okay. I need to think of something now. I thought it was yours until a minute ago, and then I remembered it was mine. Woo!
No pressure. Right. Okay. I think we're good. Alright, because there's hardly any delay, so we're just going to do 3, 2, 1 clap and then do it. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
3,
Come on, you've got to count the whole count.
Okay,
Come on.
just me. I thought we were going to count together. Okay,
No.
3, 2, 1. Wow, that's a lot more of a delay than I thought it was going to be.
I'll fix it in post. It's fine.
Fix it in post.
Yeah,
It's all good.
I clipped the mic with that as well. But oh well, here we are.
Yeah, so did I. Let's take that clip off.
Okay. Right. Do you want to just start it when you want to start it?
Yep, I will start it. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Is everybody in chat ready? Okay. Whew. I'm feeling the pressure now. I feel like I'm on stage.
Because it's behind the scenes. That's what it is.
Whew. Okay, are we ready?
Yeah.